I have Larry Goldberg with me today. We were just chatting that we're thankful that Tom Lee watches the program because he's learned so much. He's gotten that's yeah. Tom Lee though did say today, Larry, that the VIX did exactly as he always expects it to. If it screams higher like it did, I guess it was one of the largest leaps ever
Yeah.
for a single day, and then reverses that it's going to be good for the market. So he's predicting that the S&P will be higher than it was. It'll be at all-time high by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with him. I mean, you know, there's a couple of overhangs here that are extraneous to the economic situation. The one overhang is Congress just, sitting on its hands.
Right.
The other overhang is Xi seems to be having a little bit of a fit. Um, on a very serious matter, and I have to think that it's a losing hand because he may cause the West some significant problems in the short term. But it's a very, very, very major statement to throttle your partners from critical materials, and it's never ended well historically.
Mhm, mhm,
It's always ended very badly. Ask Japan; they know about it.
mhm, mhm.
I, can it lead to war? Like most people, I'm skeptical we would have a war with China, but it's not impossible.
Mhm, mhm.
It's interesting, whether a war with China would lead to a nuclear exchange. I doubt it. I think it would probably lead to China taking control of Taiwan and it costing the United States dearly.
Right.
Um, but that is the worst case condition. I'm not sure that's what Xi is aiming to do.
Mhm, mhm.
I just don't know if Xi has the political power behind him to be able to accomplish that. So there are massive overhangs in the marketplace, but there are reasons to celebrate economically. So I think
You may recall, Larry, that my little joke there at the beginning about Tom Lee listening to us, it was on this program. You and I having a discussion, I think almost a year ago, talking about the whole tariff thing and how it was important that it would be around strategic materials.
right.
And I think we were talking about that right here before anybody else was talking about strategic materials. And I mean, anybody that I was seeing, I wasn't seeing any headlines on it.
Well, um, strategic materials are interesting. I mean, I in my early days in business, I was invested in coal, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Because in South Africa, that was the energy play. We were cut off from oil from the rest of the world, or cut off largely from oil. We even had an oil from coal technology developed in South Africa. Well, it was really originally a German process, but South Africa had patented various improvements to it and had built a massive plant, a gigantic plant, in a town called Sasolburg, which was named after the company. Um, and coal was king, and I had invested in some property that owned three coal mines.
Hmm.
But I was astute enough to sell them off to Anglo American, the big mining company, before I took control. It was a public company,
Uh-huh.
and I had competed with Anglo American. This is a gigantic mining house. They didn't know I was competing for them. I did it under the covers of darkness,
I see.
and we bought control of the company. And when they came to me to negotiate, I said, "There's nothing to negotiate. I already control it." They were only interested in the coal mines, and I was only interested in getting rid of the coal mines, which I did, but ended up with the financial assets of the company, which was what I was aiming for. So yeah, we know about coal in South Africa a lot,
As a
and
strategic, yes. Yeah.
and it's not coal versus oil; it's just an issue of strategic, of lifeblood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's economic strategy and there's military strategy. And these rare earths, as they're called, and the magnets, fall into both categories. They're
yes,
both needed for economic security as well as for military. So I don't think this is an area that we can bend on, but
well, here's the fact: rare earths are not that rare.
Mhm, mhm,
They're not freely available. They're available in the United States. We probably have as much store of it that we need.
mhm,
Or we certainly have more than enough
mhm.
store of it than we need.
Right,
The problem is government bureaucracy.
right,
We can't get out of our own way.
right.
I'm reading a book on strategy that was written around about the beginning of the Second World War.
Mhm.
Very interesting book. And listening to them talk, nothing changes. Nothing changes. I mean, it's like that book could have been written today with exactly the same conclusions. It's an interesting book. It's called, if you're interested, The Machiavellians.
Oh, the Machiavellian. I've heard of that book. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's an argument,
yeah.
a very strong argument, that Machiavelli was right
Mhm,
all along, and he was far from being evil. He was just being very accurate.
mhm.
But the book reaches some interesting conclusions if you look back at it, because it was written, in the early 40s, and of course the world was at war,
Right.
and the conclusions reached by the author were actually all wrong. But that's another matter.
Okay.
But it's interesting why they were wrong. Anyway, let's move on.
All right. So we specifically with regard to the rare earths, one way or the other, the United States is back in that business and is doing everything they know how to do to maximize domestic resources, trying to get rid of these regulations.
But
Uh,
don't fool yourself. It's going to cause an incredible disruption in the manufacture of chips, in the manufacture of generators, electromotors, cars.
if they cut us off.
Yeah, if they cut us off or if they raise tariffs extremely high.
Well, it's what it sounds like, and the reason that the president said that we should relax about it, not to worry about it, is that apparently they're only talking about regulating a little more in terms of who and when and how much or whatever. Um,
Well, yeah. The problem is, what does that really mean?
what does that really mean? Well, we do have the the great negotiator heading to go see Xi in about 10 or 12 days. So we'll see. I think he feels confident he'll be able to charm him into doing the right thing.
Well, it doesn't always charm. I mean, it didn't work with Putin, or hasn't worked with Putin to date. I think Xi is a difficult customer. I think both Xi and Putin feel like they're in a much better position than they may actually turn out to be. But, I mean, he has proven to be the master, and one hopes and one believes that he's going to master this one.
Right, 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 right. So I had originally intended to start with Israel because, as far as I'm concerned, it's by far the most important story of the day. I know it's important to you, it's important to me. And so as you're watching the festivities, I guess you would call them, the Yeah, I mean, just what are you thinking about?
Yeah, I watched for about an hour and a half Trump's half-hour speech to the Knesset this morning. And he went on. He was reveling. I mean, and he really nodded to many people, not just the players on the American side, and not just Bibi Netanyahu, but all the players in the room. In the opposition, he made a great shout out to the leader of the opposition. He, praised many of the Arab leaders, many of the Muslim leaders from all over the world. He was incredibly inclusive in his remarks, and he was, of course, being very Trump about it. Never happened in the world before, all that stuff.
Right, right.
For which many people hate him, and for which many people love him. But you got to love him. I mean, this is an achievement like no other. Now, it doesn't mean that there will be peace overnight in the Middle East, but it is the greatest single opportunity for real peace, and more importantly, for the Palestinians. This is their opportunity to seize the moment. They could definitely have a state in the West Bank and in Gaza, and this is their opportunity to get that. If they would work very closely with their Arab and Muslim brethren to build a peaceful state, it doesn't have to be a democracy, but it has to be well governed. And I think Israel will be placed in a position where they will stop the settlements. I think they should definitely stop the settlements. In fact, I wish they would dismantle those settlements, honestly, and maybe create a state that's at peace with itself. Has never been at peace with itself.
Right. That's right.
And with Israel and with the world. But it's not helped by the cri de coeur of the extreme left wing here, who are very focused on bringing down the state of Israel, very focused on bringing down the US government by force. And I know a lot of people would bridle at my statement that they're.
I think let them bridle. Let them bridle. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, just a lengthy diatribe to say it's time that we get real about the situation.
Yeah, it looks very promising. Obviously, there's the devil is in the details, and we won't really know how well this will do for months or even years, but it's certainly better than it was a week ago.
I just hope the Arab states and the Muslim states stay the course in terms of helping Palestine find its feet and accept the reality of two states. I mean, Israel would recognize Palestine as a separate state if Palestine would recognize Israel as a separate permanent state.
And of course, it would not just be a recognition, it would have to be, as you point out, a peaceful society that with clear evidence that they were not still in the business of attempting to go from the river to the sea.
And it's really a tragedy because the government in the West Bank, was the PLO, is now the authority, the West Bank Authority, or the
Palestine Authority, West Bank.
Yeah, Palestine Authority. They tried to govern Gaza, but Hamas ousted them, and it was ousted, by the way, in a democratic process. They were voted in, and then immediately turned to armed struggle. And that armed struggle, they could not win. They could only win by sacrificing their own people, and they did. They sacrificed tens and tens of thousands of them, because what did they want? Israel to roll over, Israel to give in and allow Hamas to run the whole of Israel. I mean, it's not possible. Anyway, enough of that. The point is,
Yep.
we've had an incredible victory. Trump has really proved himself the master. And if he doesn't win the 2026 Nobel Prize, I think it's time to fire the Nobel
committee. Well, I don't know if I said it to you, Larry. I've been saying for a while now that I think Elon Musk needs to make another move. He's got plenty of money to set up a new prize. So he took care of the Twitter situation. He's
Diamandis could set up that prize. Peter Diamandis, I mean,
yeah.
I think, anyway, the point is, I think that the Nobel Committee needs to recognize that situation.
So we've got SpaceX in an hour.
Yes, we do.
Taking off. I guess they're supposed to go at 5 o'clock Central. Yeah, I think 5 o'clock Central. Yeah,
so. I can look it up for you and get.
I said, no, that's correct. I know that's right. Yeah, I'm 100% right.
Okay.
I mean, that's could change, but it was 5 o'clock Central.
So it was off the hour itself, but okay.
Yeah. And so, Larry, this is the last of the version 2. Do you know, you're usually the guy that knows all this stuff. What are we going to be getting in a version 3, or has that been announced yet?
Okay, so the actual flight time is 19:15 East 6, so it would be 17:15 Central Time. And, so 19:15 says, I knew it wasn't on the hour. Okay, so version 3 is a very significant upgrade. It's an upgrade of both the booster and the ship in size and in firepower and in thrust. The reason it's boosted in size is because the gas tanks are getting bigger. So both the fuel and the oxidizer, they're carrying a larger load, which is up the weight significantly. And they can up the weight significantly because the next version, the new version of the engine has got huge increase in horsepower.
Wow.
I mean, in thrust, gigantic increase in thrust. I think it's of the order of 60%. I'm talking of.
Wow.
I don't have much memory, but it's a gigantic shift. And those engines are fully encased. All the fuel lines on that engine are fully encased, which means far less weight has to be spent in protecting the engines.
I see.
Which is a big thing when you've got 33 engines.
Yeah.
So we have a gigantic increase in weight, a gigantic increase in thrust. Some other improvements, like there was an intersection. There was a section between the booster and the ship, and that would be thrown away and fall into the sea. Well, that's been replaced with a fixed structure that has reduced weight, but also it's reduced the amount of stuff that it has increased the amount of stuff they recover. In other words, instead of recovering just the ship and the booster and losing the interstage, they're recovering everything. And the actual weight that it can send into space has gone up by more than 50%. I think it's more than 100% actually. It may be as much as 200%. I think the jump is from 50 to 200,000
or
tons.
Yeah.
50. These are just from memory, and at my age.
Yeah, I get it. Well, no, we're not going to talk about age, Larry. No.
So it's a massive increase. And the other change is that we're moving from the old launch pad, which you see here, which was round, and the rocket shot it's thrust straight down onto a plate that they had to pump water up through, otherwise it dug through the ground. Like the first test actually blew the ground out and damaged the booster as a result, and damaged a whole lot more than the result. But it has a new, fully standardized launch pad with a channel for cooling, water dampening, which dampens both sound and heat. And that has taken some time, almost 18 months to construct. This launch tower that you see in this picture here is going to be refurbished, and the launch platform is taken away, and they're going to manufacture the launch platform to the new spec, so it can handle the much bigger thrust and the much bigger rocket. So they'll have 2 launch towers here, and they're building 3 launch towers at the Cape. So they'll have 5 launch towers in business within a year and a half. So the success of this rocket is essential for the current plan to get to the moon. I think the plan to get to the moon is going to be thrown out, and they're going to change the plan. Starship is critical to that plan, and a lot turns on who the next NASA administrator is, and I think the next NASA administrator may well be Jared.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes, I think the president's reconsidering his original, or his change of mind, and I think he may be bringing Jared Isaacman back.
Yeah, you got to. I'm glad you made that clear, because I'm already thinking about Jared Kushner anyway because of today. And then you just said Jared, and I'm like, wait, he said Jared? Okay, Isaacson, yeah.
Yeah, Jared Isaacman, who the president unchose, and now he's going to choose him again. I certainly hope he will, because I think he'll bring much needed clarity to the confused bureaucracy that has been NASA management for the last 30 years.
Well, Jared's Isaacson's nemesis was given a new job. I don't know if you knew that, but the guy who was really responsible pretty much for the whole.
Oh, yeah. The guy head of personnel. Yeah. Right.
They promoted him out of that job.
Yeah. That's a standard Washington methodology for getting the guy out.
And he's probably the one who might have been at least the most responsible for the dust up between Elon and Trump.
So it's it. One never knows how these things go.
I know. Okay. Well, we have a new firm that started initiating coverage of Tesla today.
Oh, yeah.
Melius, Melius. I had no idea who they were, so I asked Grok, of course. Melius Research is an independent equity research firm in New York. They specialize in equity analysis for technology and consumer sectors. Sounds perfect. With a focus on disruptive companies. How come they're just starting now? It was founded by Rob Wertheimer, who serves as the managing partner. So you know who Rob is. Yeah,
I do. I mean, he's pretty strong investor. I mean, he's known in New York.
Okay, and they started with a 520 price target and a must-own status.
Well, good for him. It's kind of it's such a simple arithmetic calculation. The upside is so high,
right,
that the downside risk is really outweighed, and everybody should have a certain amount of that stock in their portfolio. And I'm not arguing that everybody should have, their entire portfolio in that stock. Not at all. In fact, quite the contrary. I think a small percentage of your portfolio, but every portfolio, not every portfolio, most portfolios of people in the 20 to 60 price range, age range, should have at least 5% of their portfolio in the stock, because it is either going to be a bust, or, and I think that the odds are much higher. It's going to be, a stock of the century.
Right. Yeah. And so
And 5% may be wrong. By the way, I shouldn't have said 5%. 8%.
whatever number, it's a number. It's a number. Everybody's system
Depends on your situation, depends on, a lot of things, but a range. And it could be as low as 1%, it could be as high as 5%, but that's kind of an everybody stock. Just as Berkshire was an everybody stock, just as Apple used to be an everybody stock, that is an everybody stock. Not for the reasons Berkshire would be an everybody stock, and not for the reasons Apple, for an entirely different reason. And that is the upside is so significant and has such incredible, if we get the kind of upside that Cathie Wood is talking about, that 2% of your portfolio at that growth rate could blow up to double your portfolio or triple your portfolio.
Absolutely. Easily. Yes. In fact, I did an analysis over on Friday, I think it was. Well, I didn't do it. I had Grok do it because I didn't want to do the math. I love math, but I don't necessarily love working out math equations. So I had Grok do it. And if you take Cathie Wood's $2,700 in 2030 and you bring that,
it's not a high, it's kind of a mid-range, right?
yeah, and I brought that and bring that back at 15%, it would be 1,303 right now. So that alone should tell somebody. Now, Larry, the thing I'm thinking is that this weekend seemed to be maybe the ChatGPT moment. What we're hearing, I wish you had a chance to use it and report on it, but what we're hearing from everybody seems to be that this is a product that is just absolutely amazing now. The FSD 1.1.
I have no doubt it is. I thought that 13-3.9, whatever the latest was, I thought it was pretty damn good. In fact, I found myself thinking to myself, when last have I driven this damn car? I mean, I took the dog down to the dog park and I had to stop at my old house. And I had these tasks to do today and chores, and I put the car into FSD and pressed the button. And I got home and I thought to myself, when have I last driven this?
Driven a car.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just very excited about 14. I just wish that,
go a little wider.
I've already had one update, which actually Elon foretold. So I'm expecting a wider release, later in next week, probably towards the end of the week or early the following week. So hopefully we'll be able to celebrate that.
Yeah. Okay, so then that brings us to the fact that Tesla did rebound today. It rebounded. The Thursday low point, I think, was about 402 or 404 or something, I forget. It's gone all the way back to 435 last time I checked.
Is 400 the new 300?
I'm sorry?
Is 400 the new 300?
Yeah, right. So we're at 435.11 right now. So it would seem as if, in fact, we recovered better, as you pointed out before with the show, better than NVIDIA, better than the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ did come back way more than 50%, but it didn't get back all the way. And Tesla got back this close to all the way. So with this new information today, with all the rest of the people upping their price forecast, any chance we're going to get to that 500 before the meeting, or do you think we got to hear what Elon has to say?
It could run up to 500 before the meeting and then run back down again. That's been the pattern over the years, and so that could happen. But it could as easily run below 400 again.
Between
it's going to be a rough quarter, one way or the other, from the point of view of deliveries. And analysts talk about deliveries, and there's a fairly significant investor class that may abandon the stock for that period. So it's possible. Either of these scenarios are possible.
Okay. Yeah. And you and I have already talked about the possibilities of the numbers for this quarter, and it would seem like I'm having a very hard time figuring out how it's not going to be a lot better. The average increase on quarter four compared to quarter three in China is 44%. The low in the last 5 years was 22%. So if we get a 22% increase over the third quarter, even a 22% increase from the third quarter to the fourth quarter on the Chinese sales, that alone, I think, would make up for any deficit in the US sales.
I'm not sure I follow the logic there. I mean,
So,
the average, is that the average increase in revenue or in
no,
profit?
average increase in the China sales, just the China unit sales from the third quarter to the fourth quarter. I asked Grok.
I'm sorry, I missed it. You were talking about from the third to fourth. Yes, we've had this conversation already.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah. They'll show. But by the way, they had a terrible week this week.
The
Um,
China,
yeah, China sales were not that great.
are you looking at the partial week that we just got like on Thursday or Friday? Because
Yeah,
okay, I think we should wait till really tonight to
yeah,
see what it really was. Yeah.
yeah. Well, we'll see what Monday's numbers bring us. But that's not a fact that's going to sway me. I'm more interested in how Europe does because that's a marginal profit for us in terms of pricing.
Mhm.
Of course, the real question is how our margins stood up in the US.
Right. Right.
That's
That'd be interesting. Yeah. 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 So let's see. According to Stecker Auto,
yeah, go auto. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he says it's the most humbling thing I've ever seen. And this was Ford's chief executive about his recent trip to China. He says, after visiting a string of factories, Jim Farley was left astonished by the technical innovations being packed into Chinese cars, from self-driving software to facial recognition. Their cost and their quality of vehicles is far superior to what I see in the West. Jim Farley warned. He says, we're in a global competition with China. It's not just EVs. And if we lose this, we're not going to have a future at Ford. And I thought to myself,
Where's he been? Where,
I've lost.
where has this man been for the last decade?
I just
I mean, what is he talking about? We've been, I mean, where has he been?
He doesn't even have to go there. You can watch it on the YouTube channel.
The last time I was in China was like 10 years ago. It wasn't China, it was Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the man been?
I mean, I was just flabbergasted. Completely lost all respect. I've really tried to hold on to respect for him but the truth is, the company's not doing that well. The company is not doing that well. General Motors is doing better than Ford right now, which is sad.
I think they're both bankrupt and not admitting it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the numbers behind the numbers, it's really terrible. And if you look at the future behind the numbers,
Tesla Chan was just out just a couple hours ago. Tesla Chan is also working on a lower spec version of the Model 3Y. And to produce that in 2026. The vehicles
are expanding their production. Again, they're talking about expanding China production.
Yes.
So that is a very important factor. But above all is getting approval of FSD in China.
Yeah. Well, they have FSD.
Well, it's not been released to the public. It's limited scope right now.
Okay. I thought they had. I know Europe hasn't, but I thought China, I had thought, because we're seeing all these people driving around with it.
Yeah, they're testing it, and I don't think it's been generally released.
Okay.
So it's certainly not for sale.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, no, we want to obviously and to get the robotaxi going there as well. Yeah, so that was good. I think that the cheaper model will be done in China as well. And then, as you point out, the VP there also reported that they're ramping production now, which also sounds good in terms of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I thought they only had two production lines, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they're putting out the Model 3 production line. I don't know.
Or is there maybe they've only been running 6 shifts and they're going to run 7 for the fourth quarter? I don't know. Yeah, there was no detail to it, Larry.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. Well, that's all the news that I know for today, except for the numbers. You got anything else, Larry, that I forgot?
I don't think so. I
Not a
mean,
thing, huh?
I hope we got some of this news right because I haven't read too much today. My days have become a little full, I'm
A
afraid.
little full. Yeah. I can announce to you, Larry, that my days just got a little easier.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
book is done. I've sent it off to the to be formatted. And so yeah, we still got to set up the promotions and stuff, but the book is done.
Yeah,
So
and I'm going to set aside this weekend, sometime this weekend, to read it, and we'll definitely feature it on the Maverick Mind in
all
a couple.
right, that'll be phenomenal. All right. So Larry, what do we got here? We don't have bonds today because the bond market was closed, being Columbus Day. I did note that I did go and check the mortgage rates though, and the mortgage rates are about where they've been, about 6.25, 6.2, so right around there. So that hasn't changed. We had what's going on with, I've been reading about gold. I've been looking at articles about gold. I've been listening to Tom Lee about gold. I've been trying to figure out what's going on with gold. $129 today. 129 up to 4,130 in one day.
So you're gonna give me the prize?
The price. Yeah,
Exceed 4,300?
43, 44. I said it would see 3,400 before it would see 4,400. I'm still right.
No.
Well, it hasn't seen 4,400 yet. So it could still see 3,400 before it sees 4,400.
Oh, I'm still right. We can still see 4,400.
I guess. Anyway, I don't know. So I did a whole program on Sunday night, which people should go back and look at if they haven't already, with CERN Basher on the concept of debasement. And he had talked about it a couple times in the show, and I didn't get it. I couldn't figure out what the heck he was talking about. So we did a whole show around it. Got very good number of people watching it. And now that I understand debasement, this gold play is all about debasement at this point.
Yep.
And
Well,
silver,
gold has always been about debasement, but in 1980s, it ran a little bit ahead of its skis when it hit 800 and came all the way back to about 300 and took forever to get back to 800.
yeah, I remember that. And then
But
and then as gold was up 3.24 today, Larry, silver was up 7.47 in one day. I just don't,
in
I
theory, silver should be like the Ethereum to Bitcoin. It should not, I mean, this is crazy.
this crazy. And I had years ago when I was in my 20s, I bought a bag of silver dimes and I should have hung on to them. Copper up 4.82%. And by the way, everything else in that category was also up. I mean, platinum, I mean, everything was just way up today. Part of that could have been Bank of America saying that they expect silver to go to, what happened to my thing here? They expect silver to go to 80 from $50.77.
Why?
Same thing, I guess. Just, it's everybody is moving into these, the Bitcoins and the precious metals, I guess as a hedge.
That's never been a trade that's lasted that long. That trade is always busted.
This is really crazy. You know me. I'm way past it. I'm saying it's going to bust. You know that. I still think it's going to, whenever the time comes, it's going to be hard. It's going to be, it's going to come down hard and far, I think. That's what typically happens when you just pointed out the 800 and then back to, I forget what it got down to, but it was,
Yeah.
to what?
Back to 300.
300, yeah. Oil up 66 cents, still sitting just under 60 bucks. Natural gas down a little bit, but still at 310. And the dollar mixed. But I did a little study on the dollar because I promised everybody I would, Larry. Um, the dollar is basically, we talk about this when we do the show on Kathy Wood, but the dollar against the euro and against the yen both, it's kind of in the middle of where it has been over the 5-year period. It's not hugely up or hugely down. Now it was up higher the middle of last year, and it's come down 9 or 10%, 11% from there. But as far as over historically, it's kind of where it's been.
It's fair to say that the Biden dollar was higher than the Trump dollar to date.
Mhm, mhm.
I think it's fair to also give Trump another 3 years to see where he takes the dollar.
Mhm.
I mean, he's coming up on his first year, and it has paralleled his first year, his first administration quite strongly in terms of both the share price,
Mhm.
but also the economy as a whole.
Right.
It seems that the economy really enjoys having him as president, even though the circumstances that he comes in were somewhat different, not entirely different, but somewhat different. Time will tell. We'll see how it progresses or he progresses. But the scorebook right now is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. And I really I think it was Saturday morning. I really tried to go in and dig into the economy, like every single part of the economy. I'm having a hard time finding where the problem is. We've got all this money coming in from these countries overseas into the infrastructure, as you are well aware since you've been investing in that space. We have got retail sales are fine.
Yeah.
In the inflation, according to Truflation, is sitting at 2.2. I don't see where the problem is. I'm having a hard time finding a hole in the overall setup for next year.
The problem is that international trade could seize up.
Hmm.
The problem is China. The problem is there's a very, very serious war in Europe, about as serious a war as we've had since the Second World War, if not, and China's bellicose strategies, Russia's bellicose actions, North Korea's bellicose
Mhm.
grumblings and posings does not augur well, and Europe's extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's
Name it, Larry.
it's hard to name, but it's like a suicidal. Gatssard calls it suicidal empathy,
Yeah.
but Europe is really committing suicide by empathy right now. So, you add all of that up and you have a really explosive mixture. And what's amazing, how Trump came into office and recognized this and is trying step by step by step to diffuse all these situations. I mean, if he could only diffuse the Ukrainian situation and if he could solve the problem of 𝐬, we could well, see this massive, opportunity through the potential of, all these incredible developments that we're seeing in AI, robotics, and so on. But absent peace, all of the other is for naught.
I'm gonna give one more thought here, Larry, before because I know you want to get off and watch the setup for the launch. But a while back I was doing a little historical analysis of Europe, And it kind of amused me, that at one time Portugal was, the big deal. Another time Denmark was the big deal. And another time France. And then, and it moved all around the continent. And today, if you had told me 10 years ago that Poland and Turkey, yeah, Poland, Hungary, and Turkey would be, kind of the countries that were the biggest militaries, the best economies. I mean, literally, I think Poland now has pulled ahead of England. I think ahead of England. No, that can't
No,
be.
Spain,
Spain.
Spain,
Oh, okay.
Spain and Italy.
Spain and Italy in terms of their per capita GDP.
I'd have to look that up, but yeah, they're getting awfully close. They're getting good.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was very impressed with Poland. I spent some time there, and Warsaw is really a fantastic city. Um, Look, these were great and ancient cities. In if you go back to the period of the Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire,
Mhm.
Wenceslas lived, came from Poland.
Right.
So it's not. I mean, this is part of ancient Europe, and these were what Churchill called the great historic cities of Eastern Europe, and they were, but I don't know. It's tough that they have to rise, not because just their tremendous, impetus and what they're doing with their country, but the fact that the rest of Europe has fallen so badly.
Yeah.
If the rest of Europe were to be doing what they were doing, then they would just be one other country. But right now, they're just outstanding in terms of their position in European hegemony.
So then are we going to replace Polish jokes with English jokes?
It's coming.
That's
It's
coming.
coming. Well,
Larry,
yeah.
as, as always, fun to have you on and hopefully useful to somebody out there. And we will say adieu until Friday. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.